Music in video games can be nostalgic, reminding us of the good old times of our childhoods. Playing games way past our bedtime, hiding under the blankets from dad's jumper cables. Having only the LCD display of our handheld device to light up the blanket fortress that kept us safe. It can be epic, adrenaline-fueled music that lets us know that it's time to slay demons and little kids staying up way past their bedtime. Because we're here to rip and tear and to destroy anything in our way. Even little Timmy and his Game Boy Advance. You, Timmy? It can be grand and adventurous music that reminds us that we need to gather our party and venture forth. Because we've received news that some madman killed a little boy named Timmy and stole his Game Boy Advance. Who would do that? It can be spooky, scary skeletons that send shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls that will shock your soul and seal your doom tonight. Or it's nihilistic. It's lonely. It makes you reflect on the time you spent playing the game, fighting your way through demigods and big badass monsters in the hunt for this one big ultimate badass to fight. Only for you to realize as you're fighting him, listening to his theme, that you aren't fighting, conquering some grandiose god. You're mercy killing some old man driven mad with hopelessness. Music has been around for over 100,000 years and has been used to invoke feelings and emotions inside of people for just as long. Or so I've been told. I am dead and emotionless inside. If only there was something around that could help me express that in some way, like oh wait, like that? Music has been a part of video games for a really long time. Not quite 100,000 years, but still, for quite a while. Since 1978 to be exact. In the ancient times, before Summoner's Rift was around to ruin your life, an old game was made called Space Invaders. They made a game that was meant to be played for long periods of times, and thus wanted something to keep the players engaged while showing the invaders from space the proper American hospitality. By shooting them in the face. Fuck you, Space Timmy, and your Game Boy Advance. And although the soundtrack was rather simplistic for today's standards, it is what led us to having absolute bangers of themes like the Halo opening soundtrack, and letting it be performed by a bunch of dudes in a bathroom. Or the slightly eerie but amazing theme of The Last of Us. Or even the first ever video game to win a Grammy Award, the Baba Yetu soundtrack from Civilization 4, which goes way harder than it has any right to do. So recently, one of my friends started playing Dark Souls for her first time, and it made me want to pick up the game once again. Meaning it's my second time playing through these absolute rage-inducing, godforsaken masterpieces of video game media. And playing through Dark Souls 1 kind of really made me start thinking about not only the soundtrack of Dark Souls 1, but video games as a whole. Now, if you ever played Dark Souls yourself, you are either very confused right now or you are playing 5D chess and you know exactly where I'm going with this. Because there's something a little bit unique about Dark Souls OST, and it's that there really isn't one. Now that's not quite true. Dark Souls does have music and it does have an OST, but where it's become stable and the absolute norm for most video games to have ambient soundtracks in the background playing throughout the game, Dark Souls is 90% of the entire game completely devoid of it, leaving you with only the sounds of the surrounding landscapes and the hollowed, ragged breathing of your own character, and the most scary of all, your own thoughts. Which is how I came up with this video. That's until you step into a boss arena and the music starts kicking in and you're frantically panic rolling around and rolling off an edge and lose your 50,000 souls you've gathered and take your PC and throw that shit out the window. So, what about this video game without any real music in it made me start questioning video game music in the first place? Well, it kind of hit me when I entered Firelink Shrine for the first time. One of the 4 places in the entire game that actually has ambient music playing. The lack of music before this really makes you appreciate when you do enter Firelink Shrine and hear the somber, nihilistic tones of this piece, while also giving you the hope and courage to go die to the two bell gargoyles 100 times in a row in order to ring some stupid bell for some even stupider prophecy. Dormammu, I have come to bargain. I looked up in my lights and I am blind now. Holy shit. Can't actually see what the fuck my monitor says anymore. Fuck. But what really got to me was reaching Ash Lake. This place is hidden behind two optional illusory walls that have you tread down this dangerous path filled with the spawn of Satan themselves. The fucking basilisks. They're hands down one of the most awful enemies in Dark Souls 1, along with the dogs and rats. They should all join hands in hand, sing Kumbaya, and jump off a fucking Earth tree together. Also, did you know that those big goofy balls on their heads aren't their actual eyes? They're made to induce this sense of peacefulness and non-threatening aura to lure you in. But no, don't get it wrong. These are not their real eyes. Their real eyes are here. And they're fucking terrifying. They are in absolute no way friendly and goofy. Fuck them. However, entering Ash Lake and then being hit with this really just makes you feel out of place. Like I really don't belong here. The vast ocean, dark as the void, and the ashen beach treading as far as the eyes can see. The realization that the entirety of Lordaeron is held up by these giant trees, and it honestly makes me ask more questions than it answers. But I also don't really know much about the lore of Dark Souls. I just go bonk with my big ass sword and call it a day. It's a beautiful moment in Dark Souls, capturing this essence of being lost and traversing this big scary world that you really have no business being in. And on top of that, it's a completely optional area that I imagine most people miss on their first playthrough without looking up some guide or being told to go here. It has no bosses to fight and no notable loot to gather besides some dragon scales and some twinkling titanite. It's just here to awe the player if they ever happen to stumble upon this place, and it does so perfectly with the aid of the music that they use so sparingly in the game. But where the Souls game use music in set locations in order to convey specific emotions at chosen times, another game manages to hit you right in the feels at the most unexpected of times by playing their OST at complete random. Roar XD. Most of Minecraft's music is played by C418 and is said to be played at random and unexpected moments throughout your gameplay while you're out exploring. Unless you have the music disc and a jukebox, which allows you to play Darude Sandstorm at will. Otherwise, you're confined to the RNG of the game to bless you with moments like these. If you're anything like me and have played your fair share of Minecraft over the years since you were a little kid, you most likely have individual memories for each song in the game. And whenever you hear one of them, it's like being slapped in the face like a damn flashback, taking you back to a time where everything was so much simpler and you still had friends to play Minecraft with. When you really think about it, most other developers would have chosen a different soundtrack for an open world survival sandbox game made for kids. Not hit us with some of the most thought-producing, midlife crisis-inducing music of all time. The Minecraft soundtrack really sounds like wanting to go home but knowing that you have no home to return to. It's a beautiful thing, and it manages to be sad and peaceful, somber and happy at the same time, perfectly blended into this ball of nostalgia for most of us. Notch undoubtedly took a massive risk with C418 and his soundtrack for the game, but it ultimately paid off and he nailed it and created this magical vibe in a game that's essentially just open world Legos. And I do truly think that the music of Minecraft is a key factor to Minecraft's massive success. It's truly a shame that with Microsoft's takeover of Minecraft, they couldn't settle on a deal with C418, and it does seem like he's done making music for Minecraft. That doesn't mean his music in the game is going anywhere, but it does seem like he won't be making any new music for the game in the future. His latest addition to the game came out in 1.13, which is all the way back in July 18th of 2018. That shit is 7 years ago, which makes me feel so old and decrepit now. Fuck. Moving on to something different and slightly less dreadful, I want to yap a bit about video game themes. There's a lot of iconic video game themes that slap hella hard. Coming to my mind, there is the Halo theme, and even though I'm one of the few gamers alive that actually haven't played Halo because I grew up as a PlayStation boy, I still recognize that Halo theme slaps hella hard and is one of the best themes ever made. There's the Last of Us guitar riff that manages to perfectly convey the hopelessness of a post-apocalyptic world where you're stuck protecting and taking care of this young Ellen Page and learning what it means to be a goddamn dad. There's the Elder Scrolls Skyrim's theme in Dragon Tongue that knows you're about to embark on a 100-hour-long journey and end up as yet another stealth archer and never complete the main questline. The slow build-up and mixed-up versions of the old themes from Morrowind and Oblivion mixed with the use of Dragon's Tongue makes it goddamn near perfect. Jeremy Soule, the composer of the music from the Elder Scrolls series, has a habit of reusing but altering the main theme slightly for every iteration of the game, and they all slap. They're all really damn good. But Skyrim is the one that I have the most nostalgia and memories tied to personally, so that's the one that I choose and I think slaps the most out of all of them. Unfortunately, while researching for this video, I did find out that Jeremy Soule has some pretty bad allegations made towards him lately, and it seems like people just can't keep their hands off goddamn women, and it does seem that he will not be making the music for Elder Scrolls 6, which sucks. I just pray with all of my heart that The Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't suck when it comes out sometime in 2076 when I'm old and decrepit, sitting on my deathbed waiting for Bethesda to let me down one last time before I get put in the dirt. And then there's the award-winning sounds of Baba Yetu from Civilization 4, and I honestly, on God, have no fucking clue what any of the words mean, but my God, they slap. I've never played Civilization 4 myself, but I am an avid Civilization 5 and 6 enjoyer, and I do look forward to Civilization 7 coming out next month. But Civilization 4 undoubtedly has the most banging soundtrack out of all of them combined. It doesn't get much better than breaking it down Baba Yetu style. A good theme for a video game is definitely important, and a lot of time, effort, and money goes into creating what everyone hopes is gonna be an absolute banging masterpiece that stands the test of time. I mean, we've all had this moment where you boot up a game and you're about to click continue, but you're like, wait, hold up a minute. What's that I hear? Oh shit, we're about to break it down Yakuza style. I did not do my daily cardio today, but I think I did now. Also, having like this fucking studio lamp blinding you, it's fucking goddamn hot. Whew. Honestly, some of these soundtracks go way harder than they have any right to do. And when you're stuck on that menu screen for more than just a couple of seconds, that's when you know the team cooked up something special. When you can't help yourself but just one more time, let me spin that shit up real quick. If I were to list every game theme that were special, not just to me, but good in general, I'd be here forever. I'm sure you're yourself thinking about a theme that is special to you right now. A theme where you can't help yourself, but every time you open the game, you just sit there for a little longer than you probably should, fucking bobbing your head along to the sound of the sweet, sweet tunes. Also, when speaking about music in video games, I feel like you should be put in a jail cell somewhere in Guantanamo Bay if you don't at least mention the Persona series. I'm almost ashamed to admit that I only have about 5 hours of gameplay in Persona 5, but every minute of those 5 hours were spent bobbing my head along to whatever sweet, sweet tunes those devs cooked up for that game. Every single moment in that game is spent listening to banger after banger, and from what I hear, that's just how it works in the Persona series, which is wild to me. I didn't really know where to put Persona in this made-up list of mine that I've made, so I just decided to talk about it now and give it its own little segment. So here you go, be proud, be happy, you go stand in the corner over there, Persona, while I yap some more. And what's that sound? Oh shit, that's the sound of combat. Any video game worth its salt knows that if you have combat in your game, you better be ready to cook up a banging soundtrack for any fighting needed in the game. Anything from grandiose bosses to lowly drowners on the road. A good example of this, I was talking to a friend of mine and he asked me what sort of video I was cooking up next. And when I told him that the video would be on music from video games, he just looks at me and goes like, Are you gonna mention the Leyleys from The Witcher 3? You bet your goddamn ass I'm gonna mention the Leyleys from Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 has one of the better soundtracks out there of any game, but the combat music of Witcher 3 goes hella hard. Fighting anything becomes an absolute delight when you have the sweet, sweet sound of a Slavic woman screaming sweet Leyleys in your ear the entire time. Like, imagine you're playing Gwent for the 3rd week in a row instead of looking for your adopted daughter, and all of a sudden you hear this sound of Leyleys behind you and you turn around and oh shit, fuck, it's Jennifer and she's mad. Also, quick shout out to the theme that plays while you're fighting the Ginger Chad Funeveric. That shit goes really hard as well. It's sort of the vibes of the Leyleys, but instead it's a Slavic woman going in your ear the entire time, and that shit goes equally as hard. It does also help that the boss fight is just so goddamn good, and it's just everything is coming together. But if you really want to compare the two, don't. It's not worth losing your head over. I mentioned this one earlier a bit, the Gwyn boss fight from Dark Souls 1. The Souls games have a lot of great boss themes in general, but for me personally, the Gwyn theme is just downright beautiful for the reasons I described earlier in the video. The plings and plongs on this just hits me right for some reason. On top of that, Dark Souls 1 was my first introduction to any Souls games out there. I was late to the party and only just played through all of them for my first time a couple of years ago, and now I'm slowly working my way through them a second time. But the Lord of Cinder track has been on my mind ever since. It's the only song from the Souls games that I actively go back and revisit every now and again, just because those goddamn plings and plongs hits me just right. Baldur's Gate 3 recently came out, and besides barracks, it does have some pretty banger music as well. And one of the better pieces for me is the absolute banger of a boss theme that it provides with Raphael. Raphael, who in my opinion is the true yet optional boss fight of the game. And it also comes hand in hand with an absolute banger of a boss theme. And not only that, but this motherfucker breaks into some Disney villain arc type musical where he sings some of his own theme. It's so good and funny at the same time that I couldn't not mention this. Raphael is such a cool character, and he demands attention the second he appears on screen, even from my most ADHD riddled friends. He demands attention and he gets it, and his theme reflects that perfectly. Also, the fucking sing-along shit, that shit made me laugh so hard when I heard it the first time. Honestly, well played, Larian. Well played on that one. Speaking of singing your own songs, in the game Divinity Original Sin 2, also made by Larian, you have a companion who's a bard named Losa. Losa? I don't know. One of the best quests in the game is one of her companion quests where you go to this lair from this demon that's been troubling her throughout the entire game. And in order to help free her, you have to snuff out a candle standing in this demon's domain. The candle representing another human soul that this demon has inhabited, just like he did with your companion Losa. Who cares? You justify this rather easily because you learn the past of this guy and he's a pretty bad dude who did pretty bad stuff. Cool, next room. Another candle. We snuffed this one out too because we already killed some other dude, and fuck this guy, we love our girl Losi. Cool, next room. You step in here and this room is going out towards like an edge, right? You go to the edge and you look over and you see that this room is filled with thousands, hundreds of thousands of candles all over the place. All of these candles representing another human soul that this demon is keeping hostage, just like your companion. And now you're basically met with this choice of having to commit genocide in order to save your homegirl. However, if you do commit just a tight sprinkle of genocide, you are awarded with Losa getting her voice back. And she'll bless you with a nice really goddamn good heartfelt song in return, which is the perfect way to end your 100+ hour murder hobo playthrough of that game. The game and the music slaps hard, and if you like Baldur's Gate 3 even just a little bit, go play Divinity Original Sin 2, you will not regret it. I promise you, that shit is so good.
Sway with me, we'll make them scream. Dance with me, we'll make them bleed. Sing for me, I'll sing along. Sing for me, oh sing for me.
One of the most famous pieces of combat music has to be Megalovania, first used in Earthbound and later reused and altered a little bit for Undertale? Oh shit, brain lag. Whoa. Did not compute. This piece is timeless and an absolute banger. It even got performed by an orchestra together with the rest of the soundtrack for its 5th anniversary, which is absolutely insane. Like, imagine being a Han Solo indie developer sitting in your basement crafting up this video game while also composing all of the music yourself, only to have it blow up to unimaginable proportion. Like, this song alone has over 130 million plays on YouTube alone. Next up, we got licensed music. Not every game has to create its own music. Sometimes making use of already existing music in order to create this powerful and special moment for the gamer is more than enough. Now, I won't really be able to showcase a lot of this music, because if I did, I'll have YouTube kicking down my door and string me up. I would perform all of these songs myself so you could listen along at home, but I am fairly certain if I did that, the teacher from Whiplash would come and personally behead me in front of a school of children if he heard me perform any of these songs. Red Redemption 2 is one of my favorite games, and while it certainly has some issues, the artistic side of the game is so far, in my opinion, Rockstar's magnum opus. I couldn't help but shed a few tears. Yeah, okay, no, I was bawling my eyes out when I first heard That's the Way It Is by Daniel Lanois. It's Arthur's last ride, and you are met by this beautiful song on your way back to camp, while all the events of the game plays out in Arthur's head on the way back. It's a really beautiful moment in the game that lets you sink back in your chair and really reflect on all the choices you made in the game, be them good or bad. It really lets you reflect on the man Arthur has become, with you as the puppet master behind the controller. I have seen both the high and low honor version of this scene, and they're both really beautiful in their own way. But as much as I really love being a piece of shit in that game and just murdering, thieving, and robbing everyone along the way, the game's best moments are on a high honor playthrough. Luckily for me, spamming "Howdy partner" to every single NPC for 10 minutes in Saint Denis makes your honor skyrocket to the point where everyone forgets about your crimes, all your genociding, all your thieving, all your stealing. Poof, gone in just a matter of moments. Of course, there's also games like Grand Theft Auto, where the cars have radios blasting Eminem and Katy Perry while you're cruising around Los Santos, and while that doesn't necessarily create those magical moments that I just mentioned in Red Dead Redemption 2, I do think that it does belong here as well, because they do create these special moments in single player or online, and the game wouldn't be the same without it. While I think the more unique and funny part of the radio stations is the talk shows and the hosts of those radio stations. I mean, take Cara Delevingne as the host of Non-Stop Pop. I mean, that woman is hot. Most car games, sports games, etc. also make use of licensed music in their games. I remember playing games like Midnight Club, Need for Speed, Burnout Paradise, and bumping along to all the music in the car radio in those games while endangering anyone else on the road with me. And while I never played Tony Hawk to a pro skater, I played something even better. I played the "We got Tony Hawk at home, honey" version of it instead, called Disney's Extreme Skate Adventures. This game should, on paper, by all means be an absolute disaster, but I swear to God, this game slapped so hard. The unique level design and skating around as Woody, Buzz Lightyear, Timon, and Pumbaa while listening to the most banging 2000s soundtrack of all time was something very, very special to my childhood. Listening back to the soundtrack for this video put me right back in my little room in front of my 14-inch little square TV with my PlayStation 2 controller, playing games all night long, and that is the beauty of music in video games, be it licensed or not. The Fallout series also relies heavily on licensed music in order to create this time capsule for itself. Eternally stuck in the time period of baby boomers, the 50s vibes that Fallout got going on is really solidified by their music choice. The trailer for Fallout 3, with the use of "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire," where it's starting in this ruined school bus and slowly panning out and showing this post-apocalyptic world you'll be playing in, with a single Brotherhood of Steel soldier standing behind, looking over the doomed wasteland, the entire city left behind from the war, with the music echoing throughout this empty, vast wasteland. It really sets the tone of the universe you'll be playing in perfectly. Not only that, but for the many flaws Fallout 4 undoubtedly has, you can't deny that the music in that game is banging. Listening to The Wanderer while wandering around, shooting everything in sight, picking up every goddamn coffee mug and duct tape you find lying around, it just goes so well together, man. And it's the case with every Fallout game. Fallout New Vegas with got a iron on my hip or whatever the fuck, like, shit slaps. We all have those special memories that can be triggered by a single song or theme from a video game. There's a reason why I've used the Little Root theme from Pokemon Emerald in every single video I've made so far, and will continue to sneak it in every single video I will make in the future. Listening to that song fills me with nostalgia and comfort like nothing else, and my hope is that during this video you either heard or thought of some song, theme, or melody that hit you in the same way. Be it wandering through the wheat fields of Westfall with your friends, killing big angry scarecrow machines, or first stepping foot inside Stormwind and being met by one of the most iconic and memorable themes in all of World of Warcraft. A specific boss fight from your favorite video game, or be it just cruising around Los Santos while Taylor Swift screams like a goat into your sweet little eardrums. Or some game that I've never played and thus failed to mention in this video. The world of video game music is vast and hidden with gems all over, and I only managed to scratch the surface. But if this video did manage to make you think of some video game song or some theme that hits you right in the feels, let me know down below which one it is so I can go listen to it as well. I am genuinely curious. Also, I have been struggling to find music to use in the background of my videos, so this is also a ploy to make you guys go find music for me to use in future videos. So yeah, I'm caught. Thank you for watching my little video essay made by crayons, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for 100 subscribblers with just 2 videos. That shit blows my mind. I am actually blown away by that. It took me a while to get this 3rd video out because of the holidays, and I've had more work hours as well, but here it is. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Join the Discord, follow me on Twitter. I refuse to call it X, that's a stupid ass name. Instagram, other things, whatever, in the description. Check it out, and I will see you on the next one.